Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to talk about my paper about carboxylesterase concentration in mouse exposed to particulate matters on inhalation exposure of prallethrin and d-phenothrin mixture. This paper is presented in the International Conference of Fourth Endogenous few months ago in Semarang. This paper is collaboration with myself, with Mrs. Humidity and the Professor Johnny Hermana. This is the outline of our talk today. The first is introduction. This is we talk about the mosquito repellents. Mosquito repellents, all of us knew that they were commonly used in Indonesia and very easily found in the market. There were 4 types of mosquito repellents such as coil, matte, spray, lotion, and it should be the high consideration because the mosquito repellents contain the active ingredients of Pyrethroid family, including prallethrin and d-phenothrin that used in this research. Mosquito repellents significantly generate the particulate matter. Particulate matter is the solid ingredient that's suspended in the air. It especially was generated by the mosquito repellents in spray types. The risk is increasingly complex while the people spend most of their times of 80% in indoor. Pyrethroid family was a neurotoxic compounds with sodium channel in the brain in the mammals as a target site. The previous studies found that the Pyrethroid family affect the behavioral and the developmental neurotoxicity, also affect the chronic neurotoxicity on the permeability of blood-brain barriers. Carboxylesterase enzyme plays a crucial role in metabolism, detoxification, and also elimination of endogenous and exogenous esters in mammals. Endogenous esters like the lipid, exogenous ester like the pyrethroid. Carboxylesterase enzymes located in the human colon, blood, and also they were very abundant in the liver of mammals. The aims of this paper is to examine the carboxylesterase concentration in mouse exposed to particulate matters on inhalation exposure of prallethrin and d-phenothrin mixture. Why this research is used the most? Because the result of this research would be extrapolated into the human risk. So we choose the animal that had a high similarity with human. The second outline is the method and methods. This slide is talk about the dose variation. The dose variation in the solution is contained prallethrin and d-phenothrin mixture with 2 groups, the lower dose and the higher dose. The lower dose is the mixture of 1 times Noel value of each compound. Noel is no observed adverse effect level, that the value or the concentration that did not affect anything into the human or the animals, while the higher dose is the mixture of 10 times larger of null value of each compound. These 2 groups compare with negative controls and the positive control group. Negative control group is the groups with nothing treatment at all, but the positive control group is the mice group with the exposed with acetonitrile only. This slide is illustrate the experimental groups. There were the negative control groups, positive control group, lower and higher dose. Each group contains 3 replicates. The design of exposure was the prallethrin and the phenothrins were dissolved in acetonitriles and then diluted several times to make the preferred concentration, and the solution was volatilized using a diffuser to make an aerosol. The air supply was derived from an air pump. The aerosol produced were inserted into the chamber of whole body exposure that contained the mice. The duration of exposure were 4 hours a day during 60 days observation. The sampling and the measurement conducted were PM concentration, carboxylesterase concentration, and the body weight. The PM or particulate matter concentration was conducted using an aerosol 431S particle profiler and counterflow 1 instrument, while the carboxylesterase enzyme concentration analyzed with ELISA. ELISA is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. It is conducted in every 20 days during 60 days observation, while the body weight is measured in every day using a digital counting scale device of Sartorius entries 4202S1 for Sartorius Manufacturing. And this slide is talk about the result and discussion. This slide is talk about the body weight of mouse. In the negative controls illustrate that there were linearity, the body gain, body weight gain in prior to treatment in 20, 40, and the 60 treatments. However, there is no differences in the positive control group. Lower and higher dose, there is no significant differences because the body weight is influenced by many variables in the mice stress. The body weight is influenced by many mouse stress, like the condition of cage, the environment aspect, the circadian rhythm, the transportation, etc. The condition of cage, like the mice is grouping or individual in the cage, and there is the aggressivity of the roommate, maybe, or the mouse is housing with rat because the laboratorium just only have one room of rodent. Or also there were a competition in the mouse group to the resources like the food, drinking water, etc. So, if there is no significant differences in the body weight because of the experiment, it was very reasonable. The slide is talk about the temperature and the relative humidity. The chamber is set in the relative humidity of saturated relative humidity of 99.99%, while the temperature was set in 31 degrees Celsius plus minus in 0.5 degrees Celsius. The mass concentration of particulate matter is the mass of particulate matter in milligram of in each liter of air volume. In this slide illustrate that the higher dose was slightly differences between the lower dose. It is because the higher dose contain the much solid ingredient of the compound of prallethrin and the phenothrin, so it also produces more than the mass compound than the lower dose. And then the number concentration of particulate matter. Number concentration of particulate matter was a number of particulate matter in each of liter air volume. In the research designs, The aerosol or the particulate matter was generated by bubble producing. The previous studies found that bubble producing is mostly produce the ultrafine particulate matter or particulate matter in size of less than 1 microgram particulate matter. So, the slide illustrates that there is no differences between the size of particulate matter in lower or the higher dose. It is very reasonable because the bubble producing is mostly generated the ultrafine particulate matter. This figure describes the carboxylesterase enzyme concentration in negative, positive control, and lower and higher dose. In the negative control groups, it illustrates that there is increased linear according to the days of treatment in day 20, 40, and 60. But in the positive control group, there's almost stable. There is no increasing or decreasing of carboxylesterase concentration. However, in the lower and higher dose, the higher dose illustrates that they had a higher concentration of carboxylesterase than the lower dose. It means that the higher dose had more activity than the lower dose. It was because that the higher dose contained the more higher concentration of prallethrin and d-phenothrin mixture of 10 times larger in the higher dose. So it is reasonable if the higher dose had more activity than the lower dose. So it influenced into the carboxylesterase concentration in both of higher or lower dose. And the last is the conclusion. The conclusion of this paper is particulate matters in terms of number concentration of polydisperse with the largest is 0.3 microgram followed by 0.5 and then 1 microgram and the last is 5 microgram. And the second found that the increase of substrate is prallethrin and d-phenothrin mixture would be followed by the increasing of carboxylesterase concentration. Don't hesitate to contact me if you need the reference. Please contact me in these emails. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bells to get the newest notification. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.